Humans are awesome. Humanity, we're pretty fucked. I am Simple Sean. No, we are Simple Sean. I am slightly more complicated. You asked for tinfoil hat time, and be careful what you wish for. This is the first rally cry for our new top dog, Dan Orlovsky. Why Dan Orlovsky? Actions have reactions. And last Friday, I took an action of asking Boston Connard if the massholes would be upset if I changed the God's will to the Belichick effect, and then made another leap to Dan Orlovsky being the Belichick effect of Fernando Mendoza. And then later on that day, I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and Dan Orlovsky shows up on there with a shirt that says, Jesus won. And as an observer of reality, I found that to be interesting, and found it to be interpreted in one of two ways. One, the first being the least likely of the two, because there is no reason Dan Orlovsky should know that I exist. But with the internet being a real-time experiment of God and the universe, there's a non-zero chance that by harassing, that's not the right term, we won't use harass because peppering? This reminds me of Little League Baseball. Whatever it is, tagging, responding, otherwise being a challenge to the viewpoint that he might know or be aware. Knowing is an illusion all in itself that I exist. And he purposely wore that shirt because whenever you make a reference to God, to somebody who believes in Jesus, you don't understand what God is. As a Buddha, which, to be clear, and to, provide some perspective to those who are unaware, Jesus probably was a Buddha, not to be confused with Buddhist, but a Buddha, according to the likes of people like Ellen Watt and other people who are more educated in the philosophy, is simply an enlightened person. And I would like to think that I'm fairly enlightened. Another thing that the Christian religion and other religions are confused by with a Buddha is you think that they're nice. And from what I am aware of, or made aware of, if you go to most, I don't even know what they're called, temples? I don't know, an area where the likes of Buddhas hang out, they're constantly challenging your perspective to make you realize that we just make most of this shit up. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So I find Dan Orlovsky to be an interesting person to put a name to things, because we as people are not really good at conceptualizing concepts unless it has a face and a name. So when we refer to you is usually referring to some layer of God, and God is simply a coagulation, collection, vibrating portion of consciousness And consciousness is what was developed from humans developing humanity, and then consciousness and humanity invented society, and society and consciousness invented God as a way in which they could deflect responsibility for the things that they can do themselves. There is no God because I am God. I'm not sure I'm the only one that thinks that. I don't think I am a God or the God, but I am a part of your God. The statement that I enjoy has recently come to pass. My brain is I am I because of I, and you are you because of you. But the I am I, that's I because of you. And the you that if there, the I that is I because of you can neither be I nor can it be you, but it can only be me. So pronouns are very important, so it's very interesting that we can't figure out what a woman is. And pronouns, everybody gets to identify their pronouns, but oldie-timey English seems to have a very more precise use of pronouns. Now, I failed, high school I was in school for 14 years. Yes, I said 14. I was held back in second grade for not being able to read. I was diagnosed as dyslexic. As I've grown older, I just don't fucking care about words. I think words and spelling and writing in and of itself is a very impersonal way of communicating, and we've lost something in doing that. I don't really do a lot of shit that I don't want to do. So that's really what this is. So yeah, Dan's going to be you, Dan Orlovsky. This is not the real Dan Orlovsky, although Dan Orlovsky is welcome to claim the throne of the top dog of the Spirit of Wild Religion. The other part of the action that happened was, as they were signing off with Dan Orlovsky, they made a comment about him being wrong a lot, and the statement of "we are always wrong," which is the literal name of the religion that I have created for myself, by myself, but anybody who's welcome to join. The only criteria that my religion has, you can keep your religion and your view of your God and your Jesus and your Muhammad and your Isaiah or David or whatever fucking name of whoever the fucking threshold to you communicating with yourself is, but you must admit that in the past, present, or future, you have or will be or are wrong. That's it. Just at one point or some point or this point, you're wrong. Now, the beautiful part about my existence is I am always right. We are always wrong. And that is the important part of the pronoun portion of the program. I is speaking about myself in that person, but there is a difference between the I and myself. I think Freud would call it the id and the ego. But not a psychologist. Been to some psychologists, they usually say that I'm broken and try to medicate me, and I tell them to go fuck off, and here we are. But Dan, God, you, I do feel like we are all designed to work together and provide value to each other, and help each other when we can. But we should always take care of ourselves first. And I think in that statement, a lot of us forget that none of us can do it alone. So to take care of ourselves, we must take care of you as well, because ourselves is a combination of the I, the me, and the you. And to do that, how do I phrase this? I am here to achieve a purpose. We are here to save the world. I as somebody who follows the Tao Te Chi or Tao Te Chi or whatever, I think that it's absurd to think that this world needs to be saved, but I do think society needs to be saved. So I have thought about some different solutions to the problems that we have, and all of them involve taking over the world. It's interesting to listen to people talk about super competitive people and how they'll exploit the systems that they work in by drafting NFL players, or not drafting, I guess you don't draft in college, signing former NFL players to play in a game that, I mean, at the end of the day, who the fuck cares? I love sports. Sports are great. Sports are one of the pillars of society. 4 pillars. It fills the art and competition pillars greatly, especially the competition pillar. Art, information, government, competition are the 4 pillars of society. We seem to ignore or not care or protect any one of them, nor do we participate in them in a level that we should as parts, as humans in humanity. We seem to have offloaded them to, I don't know, what are systems? The systems of society. Ooh, that's a fun one. So I really do use this as a way to get better at speaking to no one and everyone all at the same time, because I am running for president. There is an article, if you read there's an article about the spirit of WoW and the WoW religion. There's also an article about a new math. It's not new, it's probably an old math, but a math that better explains the universe. It's interesting because then some fucktard went on to like Starlink or whatever the fuck the name of the Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast is, and basically reiterated everything that I put into that paper. I'm uneducated, I'm a moron, I'm stupid, I say a lot of stupid shit. The best part about saying stupid shit is it's just a fun little game to figure out who's really stupid, me or you. As the poem that I adapted and sent and tagged or whatever, our top dog, Dan, it was Rudyard Kipling's If poem. There's a part in there that says not to speak too smart or intelligently. I don't know. Intelligence is a weird concept all in and of itself. But I'm very disorganized today. Obviously, we're not. We missed yesterday because we broke the computer, and then we were having a masturbation on our mental masturbating on whether or not we wanted to continue to do this. Our computer is broken. When you're teaching yourself how to work computers, getting rid of Windows, installing Linux, making things work the right way, without directions, you tend to break shit. So I broke my computer and still working on fixing that. May not be able to recover it at all, which is an educational experience all in of itself. Need a better word than all in of itself. But we're outside. Which is nice. It's 111 degrees outside here in sunny Chandler, Arizona at whatever fucking time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. It is beautiful. When you have moments like this and experiences to be had, it's very tough to be upset about anything. I'm not really upset. I'm tired. I think this is stupid. We think this is a necessary evil to gain traction in some of our endeavors that we're trying to do, to take part in. One of them is the third place, which all of this is as real as you want it to be, as I am not control. We, you, I, only control about 3% of our experience. The rest is controlled by God, you, Dan. Dan Orlovsky is in control of our lives. That's a statement that we probably wouldn't normally have said out loud. I do find Dan to be a very interesting person because, like our religion, our ideals, he is not afraid to be wrong at any point in time, which I respect. I think we admire our mirrors is something that came to me in a requiem of a dream or whatever it's called. And Dan is an interesting mirror. I think he's probably what I would have been if I chose to settle. Not that Dan settled on anything, but maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I do live or have lived one of the most ridiculous lives. And the ability to live that life is coming to an end because of things out of my control. So the third place is a idea, which is the most dangerous thing, which is probably what God more emulates than anything else, is an idea with, or a thought with humans promoting, believing, having faith in. Faith is just the space between the things that exist and the things that don't exist to your experience. Yeah, that sounds interesting. It's very interesting that when I do this, I do sit right over there by the fire pit in the morning and run a skit through my head, and in my mind it's hilarious, and it's very interesting that my mind normally is very good at anticipating what reality will be if I do it that way. But then there's a battle in my brain between the I and the me, where I haven't quite gotten it to where my I can speak without my me interrupting me, because the me is what the I that observes the I thinks that you want to see. And as much as I don't really give a fuck about you, me cares deeply about you, which is an interesting internal struggle to have. I am very much aware that you don't, nor should you, give a flying fuck about me or I. Me naively thinks that we all should care about each other. So it spends a lot of time, me spends a lot of time in we, and we is you and me. And humanity has gotten so large that it is very important that we are able to distinguish between those three characters that exist in every human. So my goal is to educate or incorporate or conversate or entertain or co-experience or whatever label you want to give to it on these things that are very, very similar, borderline the same, yet labeled differently. And if you label them incorrectly, your knowledge prevents you from understanding what's actually happening. I think the world, I think where we're at and wherever we're at is obsessed with knowing rather than understanding. And the thing about knowing is a rigid box to put yourself in, because if you know something, then you can't unknow it, I don't think. If you're saying, I think the phrase that I had in the shower getting dressed was like, if you say you know your kids, or you say you know your partner, or you say you know your boss, you don't know anything. Because you can't possibly know another person. You can understand them. You can appreciate them. But I don't think you can know anything, because everything is changing, everything is evolving. Evolving is a word that I'm trying to bring back. It is an old word that we've hijacked, bastardized, and put a prefix and a suffix all over it and changed it to think it means something different. But evolving is something, if you look it up, what I recall and what I'm using it as is to turn or to churn over, specifically in the ideas of inside of your brain and in changing pages in books. Fuck that up, but it's all good. Basically means the same thing as revolving, means to do it again. Evolving is to progress beyond. Devolving is to progress back. Revolver is something that just goes around in circles. All volve, all just meaning to churn over. Churning. I like churning is a good word. Should have fucking wrote down in a notebook, but I didn't. There's a math problem that is worth $1 million if you can solve it. And it's an interesting graph. It starts off with the XY axis, and then I don't remember what the formula is, but it's like y squared equals x squared plus x or something, x cubed plus x, or x cubed plus x squared. I don't fucking remember. But it basically comes out to, if you have your x-axis here, you have two loops. Sometimes the loops are flipped onto the other side, but I like to think of them on the negative side of the vertical axis. And then you have a series of loops, works out to be 4, 3.5. So you have one that starts in the origin, comes around, crosses the horizontal axis and back into the origin. And then if you wanted to draw it, it would loop around into one of the loops and back into the origin. And there's another one that comes outside of that. So you have a small one and a medium one. Same process. Could go into the X or Y, always crossing the horizontal axis. And then you have a third one that completes it. And then there's a fourth one. This kind of fucking goes out and meanders and dies. Which I think symbolizes the pathway of a wave changing from a particle to the transition of a wave to a particle. Because if you take the two on what I put on the opposite side of probably need to fucking write this down or something. But basically, if you look, that is the two-dimensional form of a Mandelbrot set, which is the mathematical or the graphical representation of a fractal. Fuck. And the Juliet set is, I think the Juliet set would be able to plot, if you get the Juliet set, the Mandelbrot set, the Juliet set would be able to be superimposed onto the conjecture that I'm talking about. Like I said, I say a lot of stupid shit, and it's a fun game to figure out if I'm stupid or you're stupid. Odds are that none of us know what we're talking about, which is always a fun game. I know I don't know what I'm talking about. It's fun to pretend. Like, all of this stuff is seen in nature, and if we just sat down and did some woo-weeing out the woohoo, which is do by doing nothing. We think that doing nothing is literal nothing. but we don't ever really do nothing when we're doing nothing. To do nothing is to be truly in the experience. What do you do when you're truly experiencing something? A lot of us don't know what experience. We're scared to experience anything. Anything real, anything valuable will do things that I wonder if we truly experience them. And I think that gets to the interesting grappling that I have with dark and light. It's interesting when you talk to somebody who draws. They don't draw, they draw the shadows, like they draw the dark spaces rather than, they look in the shadows, they look in the gray, they look in the black instead of looking at the light and looking at the right. They let the shadows define the object. But when we're looking at things with our eyes, we're always focusing on the brightest. And as somebody who has cataracts, whatever it was that makes you so you're blind, either way, whatever the fuck it is, the light is a weird thing to see because the brighter it is, the less you see. Like when you have the cars driving at you, you see the starbursts and the fractals in your vision. And when you're like right now with it bright outside, like I can see objects and shapes, but I can't see definition. And there's an interesting thing that you're always looking into the past, that everything that you see is fake. And you only see what you're aware of that you don't understand. That's wild. Right? Like you're aware of a chair, but what is a chair? But you don't see air. You don't see light waves. Is that because you don't understand them, or because we understand everything about them? Like, think about breathing. How often do you think about breathing? Only when you can't. Only when you can't breathe, or you need to breathe, do you ever think about breathing. Yet you breathe all the time. How often do you think about your heart beating? Never. How often do you control your heartbeat? Yet it happens all the time. And your brain controls it because, like, or does it? Ooh, I don't know. I don't remember anatomy classes. I really wanted this to be funny, but it's not going to be. And that's the beautiful thing about reality is just the observation of problems that you don't either have or the desire to provide a solution for. And I don't really know what the problems that I see in my reality are. People are fucking miserable. People are fucking miserable. And how do you fix it is you change their awareness of the value that they have and the value available to exchange. Like right now we use money to determine value, but nobody understands what the value is. And you can't have, what is the statement? Is it too negative? A negative from a negative makes a positive, but a negative from a negative just makes something that's not negative or positive. Like we have that confused. So we're trying to use something that we made up, money, and we're trying to create it to be backed by something that is real, like gold, or oil, or something. Something that's not universally known and or used, and we're trying to make that determine the value of money. Yet the only thing that humans have that is valuable is time, and everybody understands the duration of time that would use money. There's probably some humans in places that don't have time or created the construct of time. an hour is just something that we made up by some form of logic that we all agreed on. But if we had a time dollar where every hour exchanged would be worth a specific amount of actual money, or each time dollar is worth, I don't know, $25 seems to be the minimum wage that everybody thinks that they want. So why don't we have a unit of currency? I said Bitcoin. We buy all the Bitcoin. That's what the third place's goal is, to buy all the Bitcoin. But if we had all the Bitcoin and we made one Bitcoin worth $25, and we would exchange that for 1 hour of service, we'd have one Bitcoin. Everybody knows what an hour of time is worth to them. There's 24 hours in a day. There's 28 days in a month. 28 days in a month, 13 months in a year. One extra day to just party like a rock star, and we would have a perfect year. That sounds silly, but it's an interesting tidbit of information that this was something that Kodak, I think it was Kodak, adopted the 13-month, 28-day calendar for their business model back in the 80s or 70s or 80s, I think. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, do your own Google, Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever your voice of reason and research is, and look it up. But I believe during the time frame that they used that, Kodak ended up saving like 8%, 10% in dollars. I don't remember exactly. It was a not insignificant sum of money and time on errors by adopting this calendar, because every first is on a Monday and every 28th is on a Saturday. And that will give you 365, I believe it was 365 days, or 364 days. Then you have one extra day that you just a reset day. So you don't even have to have a leap year anymore, which was kind of cool. But yeah, we all understand how long a year is. We all understand how long a day is. We all understand how long, at least a day. Like, everybody understands how much a day is. Most people understand what an hour is. And you know how valuable that is to you. It's 4 hours of your day to provide service worth having a place to live and food to eat. I think so. That's why I've lived my life for the last, I don't know. I haven't had a job since USA fired me for making an adjustment for a service member on a loan so they could get through the transition from being an active duty service member to a non-active duty service member. I adjusted a car loan for that I worked in their car loan and insurance department, and the wife was on the phone, borderline tears from what I can remember, and the situation was that the guy had a job lined up for when his commission, I believe is what they are called, was ending, and the job didn't go through. She was going to start her teaching job in a couple weeks, and there was like a delay between when they were going to move. And, like, money when you move is tight. Like, and if you're an enlisted service member, you're not making a shit ton of money, especially if you're only in for like 2 years. Like, you're not moving up the ranks. I think he was an E something or other. I don't fucking remember what it was, but he wasn't making a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of money, and with the job not coming through, like, shit's scary. I can get that. And had a kid, whatever. And in the profile, you can see all this. Like, your bank has all that information. When you call them, if the person that you're on the phone with is in America and gives a fuck, they probably see most of it, especially USA. They have all your shit. They keep it all in a nice, tidy little pile for them. And you could, like, review the accounts, and, like, you could see, like, most of the information that she was saying was verified on that. And there was like a stupid fucking rule that you had to do for like a refinance. You can refinance your auto loan inside of a bank, and usually USA fucked you over, especially if you're a service member. If you're an enlisted service member, USAA is not for enlisted and service members, no matter how much they tell you that they are. Basically, almost like America, you're just there to make it so that the officers make a shit ton of money. You're there to pay for the officer shit. For the most part, that's how it works. And not that they're a horrible company. They're not horrible, but they're not as up and up as they claim to be on their commercials. But if you're an enlisted member and you're in USA, you're getting fucked compared to what you would be doing if you're an officer. Like, yeah, you're not on a level playing field. You're not even on the same. You're not even in the same organization as the enlisted officers. But the rule that they had was, doesn't ever have to be verified. It's not an FDIC or banking rule. It's an internal rule that they have. That to do what they call a rate match. Now, mind you, this person is calling me to try to make it through the next, I think it was like 2 months, so they could get out of the service, move to this new place, start a new job, and have money without like fucking anybody over. Refinancing it, I would be able to delay the signing of the paperwork to be the day before the payment was due. Sign the paperwork, the new loan would pay off the old loan, so you would be able to push the date out. I think I was able to push the date out like 45? I don't remember, it was 45 or 60 days. So it basically would have given her enough time with some cushion to get everything back to normal. So we did all that. I set everything up, told her what she needed to do, got the loan approved, matched the rate, sent everything over, told her when to sign it. We picked the due date, told her that we can to call us back after the loan is finalized, and we can actually push the due date out a little bit further. So I think I got her I ended up getting her something like 75 days, where she wasn't needing to pay her car loan, which saves her 2 months of payment. We did push them back to the end. And the calls are all recorded or whatever. And I remember that I was brought into, I walked into work on like a Tuesday. And I showed up early because I needed to get some stuff done. I fucking couldn't log into my computer. And I was like, fuck. Walking around the floor, like, hey, anybody else having a computer problem? Nobody else was. Called HR, or not HR, called IT. IT was like, can't find you. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And it was super funny. Like, you were sitting there at my desk, kind of waiting for my manager to come in, because he started like same time I did, and he wasn't there. And like 20 minutes after my shift started, so I'd been here for like 45 minutes, just sitting there going, fuck. 2 armed security guards showed up, my manager, and like 2 other people showed up, and like, you need to come with us. It's like, fuck. That's when they brought me into a conference room downstairs, and they asked if they needed to play the call for them, and they didn't. I remember most, at the time I remembered most of my like non-mundane calls. Probably could recite most of them for them. They asked me what I did. Like, I knew what I did. Like, I wasn't going to make this fucking lady grovel and beg me. Like, we were going to match it. She doesn't need to fucking lie. Oh, if you lie to me, I can go ahead and match this rate for you. Like, just fucking do it. Like, let's not patronize people. Was my attitude. And then they're like, oh, you did this. I'm like, yep, certainly did. Sure did. And I'd do it again, is what I said to them. That was the wrong response, so I got escorted out of the building to my car, and then I think it was a golf cart that escorted me and my car off of the property. And that's my last job. That's the last time I had a real job. After that, I've always worked for myself. not so much myself. I ended up got into CrossFit coaching pretty hard. Started doing that full time. I ended up living in a gym so I could do that. Most rewarding job I've ever had. Super interesting. That was great. That's actually where I learned what value was. The reason why I was willing to sleep in my car, still am willing to sleep in my car, but the reason why I slept in my car, slept in the gym, wherever I could, I've had 4 people in my time. I don't know, I started doing that in the 15 years that I did. I was helping people, training, personal training, whatever, CrossFit coaching, whatever you want to fucking call it, nutrition, of which I'm not an expert, nor do I know very much, but I've always been very good at. But I've had different letters, different cards written thanking me for like saving somebody's life. Like it's an indescribable feeling to have somebody give that kind of credit to you for something that they did for themselves. It's a wild sensation. It's a wild sensation. I have no desire to ever go back or even to be involved that much, but I do think that there's a bunch of people out there who could use, a life coach is what somebody said to me. I have no desire to be I don't know what my desire is. My desire is to fucking be that crotchety old man that lives in the mountains and come down every day to get some food and runs away, have a handful of friends that come up every once in a while and end their day passing a joint around and shooting the shit. Like, that's what I want. Like, I just want to be left the fuck alone. But it appears like that's not going to be the case anymore since I've organized my life to be an Uber driver. I am currently an Uber driver. I wake up every morning between 2 and 3 o'clock and drive people to work every day. Most of you would probably say that is a meaningless and medial, and my mom and dad, who are thoroughly disappointed in me not reaching my potential. But I like it. I'm happy. It's rewarding to have somebody get out of your car and tell you thank you for making their day better, or I do stay in one area and have people that I don't know if I'd say come to know, but have a rapport with. Gentlemen today, literally, I do it like a 10-minute therapy session for people when they're in the car, and having them say thank you, you make me feel better, is better than the money that they give me. And like, I don't need to have money to live. Like, I live off of like $50 a day. It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm fucking these Dan Orlovsky rally cries are just my diary to write the next version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the other thing is to prove Alan Watt wrong, that the world does need some genius to invent a new religion. Like I said, the religion that we're inventing is the Watt religion. We are all wrong. Like, we all wrong is a very intriguing way to live your life, because if you think that you're wrong, if both parties are wrong in any argument to start, it gives you a base to start a discussion. And you'll never get anywhere with a bunch of people who know what they're talking about, but you'll get everywhere with people who understand what they're trying to accomplish. And knowing the difference between knowing and understanding, or understanding the difference between knowing and understanding, is a very enlightening place to exist. So this is our first one, Dan. It was terrible. It was terrible. Should anyone watch this? Absolutely not. Am I putting it out there for somebody to watch? I guess. I'm doing this because I have nothing better to do, and it's the only thing of value that I have to offer you. The only value that I have to offer you is perspective, a different perspective than you have. And when you're talking to yourself, it's very hard to maintain a conversation. And I don't fucking do very well with having plans. That's why I have people to make plans for me, because I just enjoy the moment. We go scuba diving. I used to go scuba diving, and the person that I would go with, like, she was all about like getting into the fucking coral and like finding these little fucking things, and I would just float there and chill and just observe. It was so wild to see just like sharks fucking just swimming. And the people that are fucking down digging into everything aren't even aware of these things. Or like the fish that are just like